Have you ever wondered why you bought something you didn't really need? That designer handbag, the latest smartphone model, the luxury watch that cost more than your car payment. We've all been there. Our shopping carts fill up with things that promise happiness, status, or transformation. Yet the satisfaction fades within weeks. But there's a hidden psychology behind these purchases, and understanding it is the first step toward breaking free. If you've ever felt trapped in a cycle of consumption, you're going to want to stick around. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss deep dives into the psychology of money, wealth building, and the mindsets that separate the truly rich from everyone else. The truth is, luxury brands spend billions every year studying how your brain works. They've mapped the emotional triggers that make you reach for your wallet. They understand that humans aren't purely rational creatures making logical financial decisions. We're emotional beings influenced by social hierarchies, fear of missing out, and the deep-seated need to belong. These triggers didn't develop overnight. They're rooted in our evolutionary psychology, in survival instincts that once kept us alive but now keep us spending. Consider status signaling. For thousands of years, humans lived in small groups where visible markers of wealth and health determined social standing and reproductive success. The person wearing the best furs, the most impressive jewels, the largest dwelling had advantages. They attracted better mates, commanded respect, and secured resources. That ancient wiring is still in your brain today, except now the furs are replaced with designer logos and the jewels are high-end watches. When you wear a luxury brand, part of your brain genuinely believes you're signaling something important to potential mates and rivals, even if you consciously know better. Brands have weaponized this knowledge brilliantly. They don't sell products, they sell identity, belonging, and status. A luxury car isn't about transportation, it's about announcing to the world that you've arrived. A designer bag isn't about carrying your belongings, it's about membership in an exclusive club. The product itself is almost secondary to what it represents. This is why a $5 knockoff bag doesn't satisfy the same way a $500 original does, even if they're functionally identical. The psychological reward comes from the status signal, not the object. Then there's scarcity. Your brain is wired to desire what's limited. In evolutionary terms, scarcity meant survival advantages. The scarce resource was worth fighting for. Modern luxury brands exploit this relentlessly. Limited editions, exclusive access, waiting lists, private sales by appointment only. When you're told that only 10,000 people in the world can own something, your desire spikes. You feel chosen, special, part of an elite group. Companies engineer artificial scarcity constantly. A bag that costs $2 million to produce might be marketed as limited to 500 pieces, creating false scarcity that justifies premium pricing. Perfectionism and the fantasy gap create another powerful trigger. Most people live with a gap between who they are and who they want to be. You want to be healthier, more confident, more successful, more attractive. Luxury brands position their products as bridges across that gap. Buy this watch and you'll feel sophisticated. Buy this skincare line and you'll feel useful. Buy this car and you'll feel powerful. The fantasy gap is where the money flows. As long as you believe the product will transform you into your ideal self, you'll keep buying. And when it doesn't, there's always another product, another purchase, another chance to close that gap. Social proof amplifies everything. When you see others buying and enjoying something, your brain interprets it as validation. If that celebrity wears this watch, it must be worth wearing. If that influencer drives this car, it must be worth driving. Social media has turbocharged this ancient tendency. You see curated highlight reels of other people's consumption, and your brain automatically compares. This creates what psychologists call social comparison, and it drives urgent, often regrettable purchases. You're not buying because you need or even want the item. You're buying because someone else has it and you don't want to feel left behind. Now here's where it gets interesting. The genuinely wealthy, the people who've built and maintained real wealth, understand all of this. They know the psychology, and they've learned to resist it. These individuals, often called the silent rich, operate by different rules. They don't reject luxury entirely. Many of them enjoy beautiful things, fine watches, well-tailored clothes, quality items. But their consumption is deliberate, not reactive. It's driven by personal preference and utility, not by status signals or social comparison. The silent rich ask different questions before they buy. Does this serve my actual life and my actual values? Will I use this regularly? Does this represent good value relative to my financial goals? Can I afford this without impacting my long-term wealth building? These questions seem obvious, but most people never ask them. They see, they want, they buy. The silent rich introduce a pause, a deliberate friction between impulse and action. That friction is where wealth compounds. One of the clearest differences between chronic consumers and wealthy individuals is their relationship with deprivation. Wealthy people, especially those who built their own wealth, often grew up with less. They learned early that deprivation doesn't destroy you. You can want something and not buy it. You can see something and walk past it. You can feel the pull to consume and choose not to act on it. This simple skill, this ability to sit with uncomfortable desire without satisfying it immediately, is worth millions over a lifetime. Every dollar not spent on an unnecessary luxury is a dollar that can compound in investments. The silent rich also understand the true cost of purchases. When you see a $3,000 watch, you see $3,000. A wealthy person calculates differently. What else could that $3,000 become? If invested at a 7% annual return, that $3,000 becomes $6,000 in 10 years. It becomes $40,000 in 30 years. By the time you retire, that watch cost you not $3,000, but hundreds of thousands in foregone compound returns. This calculation fundamentally changes your relationship with luxury purchases. Consumption also creates what economists call hedonic adaptation. You buy something amazing and you feel great. For weeks, maybe months, it's wonderful. Then your baseline resets. The luxury becomes normal. You're back where you started emotionally. Except now you're used to that level of consumption, and your next purchase needs to be even more impressive to generate the same satisfaction. It's a hedonic treadmill, and it's designed by luxury marketing to be endless. You're always chasing satisfaction that never quite arrives. The silent rich break this cycle by focusing on experiences and growth instead of accumulation. They invest in learning, in relationships, in health, in travel that expands perspective. These generate deeper satisfaction and don't create the hedonic treadmill problem as severely. A course that teaches you a valuable skill creates lasting returns on your time and your money. A friendship deepened through shared experience becomes more valuable over time. Physical fitness developed through consistent training compounds like an investment. These rich experiences don't fade the way luxury objects do. There's also a psychological phenomenon called the decoupling of income and purchases. Most people's spending rises with their income automatically. When you get a raise, your lifestyle expenses rise to match. You've probably experienced this yourself. You get more money and suddenly your baseline spending is higher. The wealthy break this coupling intentionally. They increase their savings rate when income rises, not their consumption. This is perhaps the single most important behavioral difference between people who stay rich and everyone else. They earn more, but spend the same or less, banking the difference for investments. Brand loyalty creates another insidious trap. Once you've committed to a brand, you're more likely to keep buying from them, even at premium prices, even when alternatives are better or cheaper. You've invested psychologically in that brand. Changing feels like admitting a mistake. So you stick with it, rationalizing that it's worth the premium. The silent rich make themselves brand agnostic. They evaluate each purchase on its merits. They're perfectly willing to switch to an unknown brand if it offers better value. This flexibility saves enormous amounts of money over a lifetime. Let me give you a concrete example of how this plays out. Two people both earn $100,000 annually. One buys luxury goods regularly. New car every few years, designer clothes, the latest technology, premium everything. The other buys quality items that last, makes intentional purchases, and invests the difference. After 30 years, assuming a 7% investment return, the second person will have hundreds of thousands of dollars more in net worth. The difference isn't about earning more, it's about consuming less and investing the difference. If you want to like this video, now would be a great time, especially if this is hitting close to home. The silent rich also understand something fundamental about money. It's not about deprivation or asceticism. It's about alignment. Your spending should reflect your actual values and actual life, not your fantasy self or your fear of social judgment. If you genuinely love watches, buy beautiful watches that you'll wear for decades. If you value travel, spend generously on experiences that expand your world. If you love cars, invest in vehicles you'll enjoy. The key is that these purchases come from aligned values, not from impulse, status seeking, or hedonic treadmill climbing. There's also what researchers call the preview effect. Before you buy something, your brain imagines the pleasure you'll get from owning it. This preview pleasure is often larger than the actual pleasure of ownership. You've likely experienced this too. You want something desperately, you buy it, and it's good, but it's not as amazing as you imagined. The gap between the preview pleasure and the actual pleasure is where regret lives. The wealthy have learned to be skeptical of their own previews. They've noticed that the imagined pleasure is almost always larger than the actual pleasure. So they're less likely to make impulsive purchases based on that preview. They wait, they think, they separate the fantasy from reality. Social circles matter enormously. You become like the people you spend time with. If your closest friends are constantly buying luxury items, you're more likely to do the same, not because of logic, but because of social contagion. The silent rich tend to have social circles where restraint and wealth building are valued. This creates a positive feedback loop where everyone reinforces wise financial behavior. If you're struggling with consumption patterns, one of the most powerful changes you can make is shifting your social circle toward people who value wealth building over consumption. There's also the guilt purchase cycle. You spend too much, you feel guilty, you tell yourself you'll do better, you fail, you feel worse, and then you buy something to feel better momentarily. This cycle is incredibly common and it's profitable for luxury brands. The silent rich break this cycle by building in accountability and tracking. When you see your spending clearly, guilt is replaced by information. You can make changes based on data, not emotion. This removes the shame spend cycle and replaces it with rational decision-making. Marketing has also become invisible. It's not just ads anymore. It's influencers wearing products, celebrities using them, your friends posting about them. The line between entertainment and advertising has dissolved. Your brain struggles to tell the difference. When someone you admire uses a product, you interpret that as a genuine recommendation, not as paid promotion. This is why influencer marketing works so powerfully and why the silent rich are skeptical of their own desires. They've learned to notice when they want something and ask themselves, did I develop this desire organically, or was it marketed to me?